What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. This is why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Revolving around the ban list and not set rotation when cards that I hardly remember. In fact, whenever the name first came up in the live stream, I was like, that sounds like that card that's a secret rare. They're like, no, completely different. It's actually her sister. Ghost Fairy Elphobia is a level 3 wind psychic, so an emergency teleport target, and is amazing on paper for Speedroids, but I don't know how it'll actually play. I've actually been talking to a Speedroid player who does a ton with them. They find this super interesting. They're going to be trying it out, but this card does read that once per turn, you can reveal a wind monster in your hand. Until the end of your opponent's next main phase 1, monsters with a level higher than the revealed monster cannot activate their effects. Now, if you're not drawing emergency teleport, that does eat your normal summons, but Speedroids don't rely the most on a normal summon all the time, making this kind of an anti-hand trap shield on top of forcing your opponent through their main phase 1 to battle phase to main phase 2 to activate monster effects. It also can definitely shield from Nibiru almost always, as that's a super high level, and all it costs is revealing, not pitching. And then it doesn't have that usual weakness of like, oh, they could still activate wind monsters. No, it's pretty much anything higher. That is pretty crazy. Now, her sister I'm talking about has been bought out multiple times. I think when Zodiac was becoming more popular, got another buyout. It's just time and time again that she falls back out. So I do think you'll see this one after the hype. People might go, wow, that's amazing, I gotta get mine. Oh no, they're all gone. Well, I still think this will come back down in price, but it only has one printing. While actually Mystical Fairy does have a secondary printing, I'm pretty sure, for Elfuria. She reads that she actually floodgates Xe summoning by revealing the wind monster, and then they would have to use the same level as the reveal. So this one has had some funny buyouts. This one pretty much hasn't over time, but I still love things like this. This is truly interesting, even if it doesn't pan out, how like people are using ingenuity and then actually applying it to the market and stuff like that. I find that actually pretty fun, and I do seriously barely remember this card. It's insane. Lightning Overdrive, Underdrive, however you're memeing it, I think is actually a pretty good set. The competition on sealed has come down, obviously, as the estimated value pulled is not the most insane, already back down to $65, but not a race to the bottom. We saw this trying to stick at $72 over on TCG Player. Diviner is back towards $85, maybe due to competition from awesome sites like Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily, where you can use code What'sGood5 for 5% off and support my channel directly, where they now have Diviner at $80, but they had it at $85 all weekend. They've also put Mu Beta Fafnir at $35, so you can use the code Get It Cheaper. And I will say, I think one of the cards I grossly underestimated is Amazement Administrator Arlecchino. I just got beat by it real bad on Dueling Book by an old school pro at this point. I know, I'm calling you old school. Hunter Lloyd has definitely had his stunt in the metagame, and last night he's like, yo, let me show you this Orcus Eldritch Amazement deck. I'm like, no shot. And then he just wallps me 2-0. I get hit in the side by a Torrential I don't expect in 2021. But seriously, the ability of this guy to activate off of trap cards, and it's any trap card, if a trap card is activated except during the damage step. So this guy basically works like Multi-Faker, as I understand it. He just goes and plays an engine of it inside, and it does fit pretty seamlessly, it feels like. And I didn't think of it as much or take it as seriously as an engine, but I did think if it did see play, it would end up like that. Like when people talk Altergeist Amazement or Trap Tricks Amazement, I assume that it's going to be an engine instead of the focus. But this guy is some serious stuff, and amazing ticket time, and the engine also plays pretty well. Thankfully, we do have the sneak peek promo, but that doesn't bring the most quantities. I feel like if I underestimated anything, it's here for meta play. Now, Book of Lunar Eclipse already back down towards 18. I could see this being 12 on set release. Remember, people are, the OTS stores got to release this Wednesday and today. Then tomorrow we see the mass release. People will get their hands on it, but they still got to bust it open, sort their copies. So you'll see a ton of listers more so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But in the competition, you still only see 20 sellers, 12 sellers, 15 sellers, really low numbers overall on a lot of the cards, and the competition isn't truly there, and then there's sales. Oh, okay, this is cheap where I wanted. And why people do that with the pre-sales or early numbers is week 1, we do see buyouts quite often. While a ton of prices can fall, people like to make their calls and go, okay, I think the Black Rose is underestimated. That's the card. Or I think, yeah, John's right, Amazement at this point. I could be dead wrong about Amazement, but I do think I underestimated its potential. And you see that early buyout on the Trap Tricks, it was up to $25, now already back down to 10. And I really want to thank Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily for the competition. I know they're a sponsor and that I bring them to you, but I truly do think that it helps with the community to have something like this in order to keep sellers more realistic and force competition even on another platform like that. So huge shout outs to Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily for their pricing and being competitive, not greedy. When this spiked towards 25, I think their highest price was 9, not even into the double digits. They do a really stand-up job on their pre-sale pricing. Now, funny ban list buyout of the day, Blaster Dragon Ruler of Inferno's rare got bought out to the point of the secret rare price. Why does that happen? Why is the rare? Is it the nostalgia, the $12? No, it's because it was the cheaper price point and for a banlist speculation. If you buy banlist cards now, oh, it's no sooner than July, you'll actually get them into list. So the huge speculation buys will probably happen through this week, and that's why, haha, funny price. I still think the secret rare would proportionally spike way harder than the original rare, but people do have an affinity towards these rares and remember complaining about them being $12 and want a piece of their terrible childhood against Spellbooks and Jowgen, and oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks. But seriously, with this format, it is a widely played past format, probably in the top 5, and if it did peel off the list, there would be a bit of a scramble for it. We saw that with Tempest before the cooldowns. So with Blaster, this was the easier price point in, and that's that. ZW Leo Arms, it always used to be money on buy list. That's why I know this card. I would always buy them for around $2 to $3, sell them for $5, and people wouldn't really care. They're like, yeah, that ZW guy, I'm not a Zexal player. It's one of the best ZWs from back in the day, and I do think that it's pretty funny to see it spike up at this point and really hold on to its spikes for now. Both versions, the Ulti and the Ultra. I feel like I would be doing you a disservice, not a sponsored post at all, but whenever I see Toon merch, a ton of people want to know, especially when it's official. This is the Yi, and I'm wearing their Grandpa Yugi shirt, Yugi, and they've got a lot of awesome official merch popping up. They started with just the Grandpa Yugi, Dark Magician Girl, and this Exodia acrylic stand, and actually my acrylic stand came with 2 official postcards as well to protect it in the mail, so I wouldn't expect those to show up mint, and I don't think they even mentioned them. The Harpy shirt is pretty cool too, but these are super comfy. They fit me really well. I would probably suggest cold washing and then hang drying, though the material feels like it'll shrink a little, but out of the box, one of the best fits for me. Now, people obviously prefer different fabrics and that kind of stuff with their shirts, and get to the cards, John, but I really, really do like their site and shirts. They feel premium, high quality, and I've been enjoying it a lot. Ice Beast Zero Fine. 2 level 4 Wing Beast type monsters, specifically with an amazing effect. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls, and if you do, this card gains 300 attack for each face-up card currently on the field except this card. It never got a reprint, and people are kind of looking it up right now as they explore options within formats, but I don't take it too seriously, and you do see people picking their bulk 27, 8 deep listings. Not the most competitive card in terms of actually seeing play right now too, but one of those old forgotten effects, ironically, out of Tachyon Galaxy also, funny enough. Also, speaking of old school competitive, I've noticed that if you are a number hunter, number 103 Ragna Zero is under market price for the super rare. You can use my TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. If you're number hunting, I doubt this would get another holo randomly anytime soon, unless Konami, you actually do the number collection over here? Question mark, someday, maybe. We'll wait and see. Rainbow Life also only has 1 printing and is way up in price. We were talking about finally getting a holo Waboku on stream. Somebody brought this card up when we were talking about hollowed Life Barrier, and you discard a card until the end of the turn. Whenever you would take damage, you gain that amount instead, an actual full reversal. Back in the day, I think it was X-Sabers that would tech this a little bit, especially against like Dark Strike Fighter and stuff, in order to not only pitch something that they could get an effect off of, but then like also be able to use this. And I think that it's a pretty funny, cool card with amazing art, and I get why I'd love to see a holo reprint of this at some point, but for now, only 1 printing out of a famous set called Phantom of Darkness. All Artifact Sanctums seem to be up in the price and going. The ultra rares above market price. You notice the Mega Pack only has 3 listing. It's pretty easy to make Mega Pack cards from the old disappear, though, as we've seen, and try to stick the price even above originals, but the original ultras are up as well. The secret rares still pretty fairly priced. I might get those sooner than later. And then finally, the cheapest versions are the Battles of Legend Armageddon. As people prepare for Trap Tricks decks, they prepare for this format. Looks like Sanctum may roll back into town, and I don't doubt it. This has seen meta after meta after meta, and definitely a huge impact, so do kind of watch out for that. And also with Lightning Storm being extremely popular, being able to set stuff like this in the back row is also interesting. Legendary Collection Yugi's World and Legendary Collections Joey World are two conversations I want to have together here. They're both very unique Legendary Collections that have a mix of cards together, kind of like the GX set and the Raw, but I do want to point out Yugi's World has been rewaved unlimited at Walmart at one point, and the first edition stamps have a vast difference in price. When we actually look at Dark Magician Girl, which Dark Magician Girls as a whole had a ton of buyouts, you know, this card's first edition is just way above the Unlim. Actually, last night I think there was a more competitive Unlim, but here tonight, $200 for the first Unlim on market, but the first edition still looming way over at $320. That's just an example that first edition is much rarer for this set. I think what it is we saw Dark Beginnings and then Dark Revelations on all fronts get bought out, Retro Pack revolving buyouts, even Dark Legends, and those don't always offer true holo upgrades. Instead, they're just hard to get versions of iconic cards, and then people turn their attention to this with actual upgrades to cards, like Secret Rare Graceful Charity being top rarity to some people, and you also have like the Dark Paladin Secret, and now we do have the Speed Duel one competing, but like the Dark Magician Girl going to a Secret Rare, which is hard to find in this art for the printing. Dark Magician of Chaos, I call them by the other name, but yeah. Dark Magician of Chaos at $32, and then Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Secret Rare looking pretty good along the Master Collection version. Pot of Greed Secret Rare. Unique rarities, unique upgrades, Sangan looking really good, and I think that's why we see the sealed at so much, and then the cards uniquely also skyrocketing within the set along with the sealed. I do want to remind, though, these things really do pop back on shelves. I bought this, I think, just 2 years ago when they rewaved these into Targets, and I think GameStops and Walmart's got them also, so be aware, these game board editions, anytime Konami just feels like pumping out some money into major retail, they can release some unlimited editions back into the wild, and we already have had unlimited editions of them, so be careful with the unlims over the first eds. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon has a lot of different spikes. The Secret Rare up in price, the Ultimate Rare, you can see the market price kind of fluctuating and up too. So be aware that this card, I mean, the Phantom Knights are a really, really cool deck, is getting some attention on the market. Number 99 Utopic Dragon, I forgot I had another Utopia card on here, is up in price and very low. It's only had one reprint ever in a mega pack, and they're both secret rares. It is an interesting card when we talk about Utopia stuff. You can actually summon this by discarding any rank up magic spell card, using any Utopia monster you control, and then once per turn you target a number monster in the graveyard, you special it in defense, negating its effects. Third good effect, during either player's turn when a monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card, detach a material, negate the activation, and destroy it. So pretty much it has three interesting good effects going for it with a beefy 4,000 attack, but I do think there's better plays probably in current Utopia decks, but still a very interesting rank up mechanic slash card effect. Let me know if there's anything super interesting about that. And then F-Zero Secret Rare came into conversation as its Secret Rare has gone way up. It's the highest rarity. It's a prismatic Secret Rare. You're not going to really match that, even if they do, say, Legendary Duelist Season 3 and bump up that common reprint into an ultra rare slot with the color ultra rares, blue, purple, green. I think that this one really stands out, and people went back out on it, hoping for number F-Zero. Rumors yesterday started to spread again, along with my call that it's probably in King's Court, when the Battles of Legend description says that King's Court will have Utopia support specifically. Originally, the set description also said Lightning Overdrive support in King's Court description, but Battles of Legends updated description does hint towards Utopia support there. A lot of people pointing at, I really think it's F-Zero, and Robbie and I both made the joke. We both came to the same conclusion. What if they piece up the structure deck and it's in King's Court instead, and that's what it is? That would be freaking crazy, as King's Court, I feel like, keeps getting pushed back too. I think it's July 8th now, from what I've been seeing run around. I'm not 1,000,000% on that, but I believe there is another week delay on King's Court. Closer to my birthday. Please make it awesome, Konami. Card Trooper First Edition got bought out huge. One of my friends was looking. They remembered my favorite format is Troop Dupe. They were thinking about a gift for me. And First Edition Trooper is gone. Crab Brave. Sad noises for my past format deck and gifts I could have got. And I think actually I have that one pulled up. But the Secret Rare is still extremely cheap and budget, even as the Dual Terminal has been bought out in the past. The Secret Rare still has copies. Kind of a bit bit of a penny stonk for first ed, I guess, if you want a nice looking card trooper and you're looking at past formats. Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer is where I started looking and finally decided, wow, we need a legendary collection conversation around Yugi's and Joey's World. This card also spiking along with so many others for past formats, way above the Hobby League. And you can see the Unlimited's around 7, but the first editions are going to be a little bit more towards $11-ish. A pretty big gap there. Storming Mirror Force is a lot of money for no good reason other than this is a pretty iconic card. The secret rare looks really nice. The only other holographic is a gold rare. You do have easy access versions like the gold letter rare, but really, this card is a pretty darn cool card that I could see getting teched into a future format, and probably one of the best Mirror Forces, especially after Link Summoning kind of drowned out Drowning Mirror Force from being as viable. Wait, no, I'm thinking the Quaking Mirror Force. My bad. Drowning Mirror Force is still super viable. See? Gotta stop myself sometimes and really think about what I'm saying, smile. Spellbook of the Master Secret Rare has been bought out among all the other Spellbook buyouts happening. People finally got around to this one too, picking up all of the format, I guess. We're seeing that other buyouts happen. When for this, almost no unlims, and the first edition is around really, really high. Yeah, you have the 1 unlim near 30, and then 47. I would expect this to come back down, but revolving buyouts on past formats have been going crazy, as I guess you could kind of attribute it to a mix of CMOS series and people seeing the format getting hype going in, but then also streamers playing a lot of past formats too. Fist of the Gadgets brings up an interesting end conversation here. I thought this was a $35 box even to this day, maybe 42. I remember it getting clearance, people taking their losses, but then I forgot that people chased after Scrap Recycler and Hidden City, 2 short printed super rares within the set, by the way. And then other value has weirdly spread. This is kind of the worst case scenario for King's Court, right? When we look at a TCG exclusive set, then Shadows in Valhalla aged well, Toon Chaos is a home run, but this does show the worst side of what the TCG Premier set can kind of be. But Code Radiator is way up in the price for what it is. A lot of people selecting that as an option, and you do have other value spread at least throughout for a side set. But man, this shows that even a failing set over time, you can polish a little trash and turn it into treasure. But how long did that take? The shipping costs are higher versus singles that you would be calling. When they were cheaper, like I think you could get Code Radiators at 8. So always think about the percent of profit versus where you could be spending it and how you spend it when it does come to sealed. Because even if you see this as a success, when you say, I bought this on clearance at 35, look at the double up. But yes, what if you had just bought a ton of Code Radiators instead and, you know, a ton of Hidden Cities when they were $3 and sold at the spike on 20, you had better opportunities within the set that led to the sealed going up that was trash. That's why I bring up Ancient Guardians. A lot of the prices falling out once one of the top collector rares, Coolia, down towards 35, and you see a lot of the ultra rares even cooler in the price. Like, the collector rares aren't cutting it. What do you think? If you like Skullmeister a lot, if you really think it's going to go into a format, it is 1 in every 4 cases, because you have about 4 collector rares per case, and then you have 15 different ones. You got to open 4 cases to mathematically see every single collector rare in the set. What do you think you should be after if you really believe in Skullmeister? Again, this is more speculatory. Skullmeister could never have a format again, or it could see a lot of play someday, but that's a format-dependent hand trap. I know we've run a little bit long on this Market Watch, and I'm trying to keep it timely, but when this prices are finally going down, people are asking me, okay, look, it's 56. Do you think I could buy it? Do you think that could be a double up one day? I point back to this, and what could you have done with the singles versus this as well? When you're going sealed, you go early bird, you make your calls, you shoot your shot, and then you sit on it like a mother hen, in my opinion, and you do that because you're not flipping your bankroll over and over. You've actually hit a point where your bankroll is so big that you can't do it, or you're working a job, you don't have time to pay attention as much, you want something that kind of just works for itself and you make your call there too, or you're lazy. Those are the 3 reasons you go sealed. Not a financial advisor channel, but I don't know your bankroll in situations. That's just the points of, like, if you go for the sealed, yes, you can see success, but there's also opportunity cost in that of what ounce could you have gone towards worked for. But then again, your situation comes into play too. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed these much kind of more in-depth conversations on some interesting sealed. A ton of people have been asking for that. I felt like it was time to get around to this set as well as a whole instead of card after card after card. And then what do you also think of interesting cards like Elphobia? Do you think it's just great on paper, gonna crash and not do anything? Or are you like, wow, that is pretty darn cool? Let me know, because that's what I love about kind of doing Market Watch and also just Yu-Gi-Oh! In